Thomas Ray, and I'm the Associate Executive Director here at the Poe Center for Health Education, and I'm glad to do the interview.
So what exactly does the Poe Center do?
So we are a health education nonprofit. We serve the state of North Carolina, and our focus is educating children, youth, and their families. And we not only educate, but we also empower just to make healthy choices easier for children, youth, and families in North Carolina. And so the way that looks, it could be anything from direct education. So we do, we're a field trip destination, so we have groups from across the state who will come here, but we also travel across the state. And we will do a single session or a multi-session series with young people or with families. And each of those sessions is focused on some area within health education. Some cross multiple areas, some are focused on one. We sit in the prevention side, so we try to prevent addiction from happening, if you will, when it comes to addiction. We do that with a number of strategies. One is encouraging parents and caregivers to have conversations with our young people, and so we equip them with some of the language to kind of cultivate and get that conversation started. Try to equip them with the skills they need to be able to respond, when they hear something that maybe is a little bit shocking. But just really facilitating an open line of communication between caregivers and their young people. And so that's one strategy we use. We also raise awareness, and we educate young people on their brain science, like how do their brains work, what are the natural chemical things that are occurring, chemical and electrical occurrences in the brain, and encouraging young people to find those natural ways to enjoy life. And so some of those strategies, along with then obviously we do talk about the dangers of drugs and alcohol and how they can actually hijack those naturally occurring systems within the brain and body, and that by introducing those chemicals, they can actually, especially during adolescence, so during this time when a lot of brain maturation is taking place, introduction of those chemicals can actually damage long-term that brain development. So, but in addition to here at the Poe Center and offsite across the state, we also provide online programming. We also work in the policy systems and environment space. So we, for example, we may encourage a town council to consider, maybe no smoking, or not only no smoking, but no tobacco use in their parks.
Yeah.
Or we may, when a community is considering social districting, educate them about, well, here's some of the best practices, here are things to think about and keep in mind, like proximity to where young people are, and just kind of helping think through and coach through with the best information that we can provide for folks as they're making those decisions. And of course, the other piece of that is we try to do some social marketing and just encouraging people to think carefully about issues around substance use in particular, but not only substance use, also eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, and drinking more water, and being more physically active, and having healthy relationships, and building community, those kinds of things.
So, what would you say are some of the general causes of addiction?
There are some predispositions that can exist. So family history, if there's a family history of addiction, the likelihood that young person would be predisposed to addiction is higher. The other is really the introduction of the substance itself during adolescence. So, for example, with tobacco, we know that 9 out of 10 adults who are users of tobacco began before the age of 18. The other 1 out of 10 typically started between 18 and 25, and almost zero start after the age of 25. And so one of those causes, the data seems to indicate, this is the same thing for alcohol, it's the same thing for cannabis, it's the same thing for other substances. There are some substances that, even you may not start until adulthood and there's still a high likelihood of addiction. But in general, introduction of substances during adolescence is a predictor that individual will have long-term addiction to that substance. And so really, again, this is where we see our role as being so important in prevention, is the more we can encourage young people to delay. In other words, wait until you're 25. If you really think, wow, that substance is something I want to try, put it on your calendar, mark it for your 25th birthday. And then if when you turn 25, if you still want to do that, go for it. But what we find is that often, once the brain has fully developed and the prefrontal cortex that says, that might not be a great idea, once that's fully developed, then someone in their mid-20s is going to be less likely to say, oh, well, let me start using a particular substance. And so one of our key messages to kind of address this general cause of addiction other than the family predisposition is just wait.
Yeah. Just wait.
If you still want to use the substance at the age of 25, go ahead and give that a shot, but you probably won't want to.
How often do you think you encounter drug addiction with your job, and especially in youth, because it's a big problem in today's world?
It's a great question. I will say again that as we sit on the education and prevention side. So typically, if a young person's already struggling with addiction and dealing with addictive disease, we're going to be more doing the referral of them to someone who's equipped to do that kind of intervention. But we recognize that especially during adolescence, introduction of substances can quickly lead to addictive disease, and it's a real challenge. It's a challenge for young people in our community. You think about vaping, and you might think, oh, well, that's just water vapor.
Yeah.
It's not just water vapor. It's actually aerosol. It has fine particulate matter, and it has nicotine. And nicotine is one of the most highly addictive substances on the planet. And so when young people think, well, I'm just going to try it because it looks cool and it's got that fruit flavor or whatever my favorite flavor is, it's got that. And so I'm going to try that, and I've seen all the marketing on all the different stores and on social media, and so I think that's cool. But then once they try it, really they don't have to try it very much, because again, nicotine is so highly addictive. Then all of a sudden, they're dealing with something that, wow, I feel like I need that more than, oh, that was enjoyable, or actually not all that enjoyable, but now I feel like I need it. And so we do try to work with schools and others that are encountering that, to help them understand that this is not so much a discipline issue where a young person is just doing something that they want to break the rules. That's not it. They're doing it because now their body's telling them that they have to have it.
Yeah.
And so trying to make sure that they're being connected with cessation programs, and we work with the state of North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services Tobacco Prevention and Control Branch. They have some great resources to help young people kick nicotine, but it's challenging. And so addiction is a real disease, and it has a disproportionate effect on adolescents, again, because of that developing